Floss Tube, and welcome to Fairy Tales and French Knots. I'm Erin, and this is my channel about cross-stitch, where I talk long enough to make my family wonder what I'm up to, but short enough that you can probably watch this on your lunch break. Today is Saturday, March 14th of 2026, and this is video number 49. So, congratulations on making it through Friday the 13th, relatively unscathed, I hope. I know that I personally was not chased by any men wearing hockey masks and trying to kill me with a machete or anything. So, win, right? I haven't been here in a while, so if you're a returning viewer, thank you for checking in with me. And if you're new here, welcome. And you found a place with, relatively low emotional engagement necessary, because I'm not updating all the time. There actually is a reason, though, that I've been gone for about a month, which is that I realized my last video was number 48, and that left me with 2 videos until my 50th. And I'm approaching a birthday of a similar number. And I do enjoy the symmetry of having my 50th video be on my 50th birthday. So I was trying to spread things out so I wouldn't have to leave, a huge gap between 49 and 50. And I think I've succeeded. So I guess that's also your warning that my next video won't be here for about a month. I might do some little, maybe a how-to video or a little quickie or a promo of some kind if the need arises. But my next full-length numbered video will not be until mid-April. And if you'd like to get me a birthday gift, bring your friends, get them to subscribe, because I also think it would be cool to have 500 subscribers on my 50th video on my 50th birthday. The, multiples and symmetry and ooh. I'm such a nerd, people. Come on. I am, I think, on my next video going to do some giveaways because it's my birthday and I want to give things to you. I'm weird that way. My stash has been getting cleaned out. I went through one of those crazy phases of, why do I have all these things that I'm never going to do? And started going through them. They haven't sold on any of the stash groups or anything. So who knows? Maybe somebody would like them enough to want them for free. But what have I been up to for the past month? Well, I've done some stitching. I've got some things finished. I've did a little bit of crafting, stitching related crafting, but not stitching. I got some thrifting finds. I have a tiny bit of stash because my market pre-orders haven't gotten here yet, so I can't show you those. And a little bit of talk about plans and things like that. So, start with what I've been working on. As I'm sure we all know at this point, the Winter Olympics wrapped up a couple weeks ago. And during the Olympics, I will watch anything that is televised. And with the advent of streaming the Olympics, everything is televised. I mean, you can't turn on I couldn't turn on Peacock without finding some kind of Olympic sport to watch. So I watched figure skating, hockey, skiing, bobsled, speed skating, all of it. And I stitched while I watched it. So I got a lot done. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted the progress I had on CHAG. As of right now, CHAG looks like this, which looks like nothing. But what I did do is I got to the very top. And there's a compass rose and all of the verse. I'll post a picture of that over here so you can look at it while I talk. Yes, that was about a week and a half of the Olympics, I think. So I got more than half of that finished. And I've now moved down toward the bottom. And this is actually the hair of the mermaid sea hag creature. And the verse there says, "They are lost in her dance." So, yeah, that's moving along. I'm not going to unroll it because the tension on my scroll is perfect and I don't want to screw that up. But yes, that was my progress there. I also finished Ginger, the animal cracker from the Jingle Ball. I have not done her little pocket, but here she is, stitched from the kit with the kit materials. And I did add the little bell on her tail and the roller skates. I love the roller skates. I think they're my favorite thing ever. And the other thing I think I'm going to do when I get this finished, there was a gingerbread house freebie that was offered. I don't know if it's up on Stacy's website, if you can still get it, or if it's now something you have to buy. But I'm going to try to make a box with it, like the, can't quite describe what I want to do, but I want to use like the gingerbread pattern, the gingerbread design is the front, and then make like a little low box to fit behind it and put her in the box. So she has like a house to live in. So I'm going to do that. So that's my Ginger. Showed you Sea Hag. And I did actually do some finishing. One thing I designed and stitched and finished is a little Christmas ornament called Topsy Turvy Snowman. Now, our embroidery guild, our chapter of the EGA, there he is, every year has an agreement with one of our local museums that does a Christmas tree display, and they invite local community groups to either sponsor a tree or decorate a tree. So our guild chapter has always decorated a tree with stitched ornaments. Now, our outreach and education coordinator, who is an amazingly energetic, creative, kind of crazy woman. I love her. She's so much fun. She's going to be teaching some cross-stitch classes at the local libraries in the midsummer to early fall, I think. And she asked us to design a snowman ornament that she could use to teach. And the other thing she would like to do is see if she can get any of these new stitchers that she's teaching, if they finish their snowman thing, they could donate it to the guild chapter to put on the tree at the museum. So it's kind of a, tie it all up kind of project. And so this was mine, my topsy-turvy snowman. And he's a little big for an ornament. This is a coaster, those blank coaster blanks that you can get at local craft stores. I just painted it white and fit him into it. The one thing I found I did not like was I stitched on Ada. It would make sense to stitch on Ada because that's what a lot of new stitchers stitch on. And as much as I would have loved to have stitched on even a piece of even weave, you want people to see what they are going to make. Because I don't have Ada, since I don't stitch on it, this piece of Ada, I ordered like a bulk pack of cheap Ada. I should not have done that. But none of my local big box stores had like DMC Charles Craft Ada, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was impatient because I wanted to stitch the darn thing. So this, it's crunchy, people. And it did not want to wrap nicely into a circle. So you can kind of see it's a little warpy. At least it is to me. As somebody who stitched it and finished it, I'm like, But the pom-poms hide a multitude of sins. So there he is, my little guy for the guild. All finished. I also finished 2 of Dee's 20 Stitches Stitch for Pride 2025 pieces. I finished the August. The August piece for St. Anastasia, the Patrician. Hang on. There, that shows better. And that floss is Rami's Enya on redwood fabric from Dames of the Needle. And I also did the September piece, which commemorates Lily Elba, who was a trans woman who was one of the first trans women to have gender reassignment surgeries done, and actually passed away as a result of complications from surgery. That was in the 1930s, I believe. So she was an artist, and both the colors she used and her subject matter, a lot of it was, according to Dee's documents, a lot of really pretty jewel tones, and butterflies were figured into her imagery a lot. So the pattern is a chrysalis and a little butterfly. And the floss I used here was Kraken by Night Stalker's Calling. I thought it reminded me of kind of natural buggy kinds of colors. And of course, I can't stitch a monochromatic in one color usually, so the butterfly is yellow. So those were my 2 finishes. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the end of March, March 31st, is the Trans Day of Visibility. And, go out and look for a trans maker to support. Not just trans things, but especially on, small marketplaces like Etsy and, local craft stores and markets. I think that the LGBTQ community is becoming a bit more visible than they used to be. I also understand that given current circumstances in certain parts of the world and the country, they aren't feeling as safe. So what support we can provide as allies and friends is important. So buy from your local LGBTQ artists and support their endeavors. And if you don't know any of them, Dee's 20 Stitches is on Ko-Fi, and you can go buy some patterns there. I'm sure that there are others out there that I just don't know about, and I want to know about. So leave me a comment if you know some more trans makers and crafters. I'm always curious and want to learn. So there's that. What else have I been up to? I was at my big box store, Michael's, and I found this, which is another one of those little boxes like I love to turn into sewing kits, but it's heart-shaped. It's a heart-shaped box, and I'm a child of the 90s, so I had to buy it. And I redid the inside with some polka dots, made a little needle minder, have a little pair of cheapy snips in there. I don't know why I need all of these. I have 3 now. But I keep making them. Maybe I'll give one of those away in my next video. You never know. So I did that. I also was at the antique store, and I found for $8 total. These. I think they're either Lizzie Kate or Bent Creek. And I really liked this one. The little cabin is just too cute. But they were framed not under glass, and they are also super poofy. And I'm going to take them apart and do flat folds probably. Something that can be displayed easily. And then I'll have 2 nice blue frames if I ever stitch something blue, I guess. So yes, those were a find. Rescue, I guess. One moment, please. I'm back. And then the other thing I've been working on. A couple of years ago, I was at my local library book sale, and I picked up this. It is the Better Homes and Gardens Christmas Cross Stitch, published in 1987, which is pretty obvious when you look at the little girl in her footy pajamas. Yes, footy pajamas. All the rage in 1987. And there's some interesting patterns in here. There we have the Christmas church scene. We also have some little pillowy things. There's another snowman. I could turn him into something for the guild. We have this sampler, which is kind of weird. And there was... yes, this nativity scene doesn't suck. I'm not a nativity scene collector or displayer, but I don't think this one's that bad. Nothing like all the animals look pretty normal. The people seem pretty to scale. It works. But the reason I brought this home was that I kind of fell for this. And this is titled A New England Christmas Sampler. And it's got this neat star up at the top, a row of birds, some poinsettias, apples, bows. I really loved this row with the little critters. And the angels aren't terrible either, the Peace on Earth band. And then the houses and boats at the bottom, and these lovely little motifs. Now, the other thing that I know I fell for in this sampler were those boats, because I love boats. I don't know why, I just do. And they came up with many clever things you could do with that pattern, aside from the giant tree. You could stitch it on like 7 count over 4 or something and make this to wrap around your tree. They also had these cute little stockings. Hey, they used the boats, you see. And what really made me laugh was in the section about the New England tree sampler. So the big whole piece with the tree sampler, it says, stitching the tree. Begin stitching in the center of the star motif on the top of the tree, 5 inches from the center top edge of the fabric. So obviously they're not center starters. But when you get done, it says matting the sampler. You can take your stitchery to a framer to have the mats cut as shown, or follow the instructions below for cutting your own mat boards. Enlarge the tree pattern onto paper and cut out. So here's the tree pattern. Yeah. And here it is, like with my hand right next to it. Yeah. And it says, center and draw the tree outline onto dark colored mat board. Use a craft knife to cut out the tree. I'm sure you'll get some excellent, precise cuts in your mat board with that craft knife. Then it says, cut a light mat board 3/8 of an inch beyond the original pattern and save the cutout. again, this is what we're working with, which we've now enlarged on graph paper, probably. It was 1987. And now we have to measure 3/8 of an inch from all of those little jaggy cuts. Then we center and glue the mat boards together. Doesn't say what kind of glue. It was 1987. We didn't care. With the mat face down on a table, center the stitchery over the tree-shaped hole and top with batting. Fit the tree cutout into the hole to fasten the stitchery and batting in place, and run a line of glue along the cutout edges. So mash it all together, put your cutout piece of light-colored mat board back in there, and slap some glue on it. Now, I was stitching in 1987. Maybe at like the 89, 90 was closer to when I started stitching. But I was still a young stitcher and did not have access to craft knives and mat board and all that. So I was not doing this. Although I did stitch those little plywood kits where you did basically that. You know, you stitched the thing and the kit came with the mat or the plywood shape with the center that you'd push out and then line your stitching up and mash the plywood back into the back, and now you're all done. Anyway, were there a whole lot of you who are older than me who were cutting mat board, multiple pieces of mat board in tree shapes by 3/8 of an inch beyond the pattern? Rather, oh, really? Did anybody actually stitch this whole sampler as a tree and hang it on their wall like this? I want to know. Because what I did is I looked at that and I looked at the motifs and the parts that I liked, and I thought, I can make some lines a little shorter, I can make some lines a little longer, I can move some parts around, and I can stitch it. There's my sampler. It's not done. I still have to get to the top because here is the star at the bottom. And as you can see, I only did half of it. So their sampler obviously got wider at the bottom because it was a tree. This is the star from the top, but only half of it. And I'm going to do the other half up here. And I moved lots of things around because the houses were down at the bottom. They were on the one side from the boats, or boats on one side, house on the other. I couldn't rescue the boats. The boats are gone, but I do have the houses. And this band right here is my favorite. I love this basket of flowers, the little birds, the deer. The whole thing makes me happy. It's tiny and folksy and cute. These rabbits up here were down here. These little spinners were in the row that will have the angels in it. So I took pieces and moved them around. I also changed all the colors because the original colors kind of looked like the Crayola box of 16. They were bright, primary, in-your-face colors. And I had to tone it all down. And I will confess, at that point, I used ChatGPT. I went in and I said, all right, I'm changing the 520 green to gassed bayberry. I'm changing the 815 to Weeks brick. I'm changing the blue, which I think was like 320, maybe 312. It was DMC 312. I'm changing that to, I think it's Weeks Blue Jeans. So, and I told Chat what DMC colors it lined up with, because DMC color cards are pretty accessible to AI bots. And Chat was pretty helpful, honestly. in terms of saying, well, you've taken this color, down 2 steps, or, into this color range from this one. This is why your yellows now look electric, because they don't fit with the mood that you've set. If you want to take that mood further with the yellows, do this. And it was pretty much right. So I've used it as a design partner more so than a worker, but I was pretty happy with what I got, and it's been a lot of fun to work on. The other thing I did, which did mean I had to change the color palette quite a bit, was making all of the words in Weeks Dye Works Noel. So that variegated really changed what you wanted the other colors in the piece to do. So it was a fun learning experience, and I'm still having a lot of fun stitching it, which is part of why, like, I don't make plans for my stitching anymore. Things like that happen. I start, finding new projects and having a good time with them. I don't see a reason to stop that. Which brings me to my other update, which is the Stitch Your Collection stitch along that Marissa over at MKissa Creations. Yes, Marissa's Stitch Your Collection SAL is going on, and I've seen some really cool stuff. I know that Marissa herself is doing, I think, moths. I've seen tombstones. I've seen little critters of different kinds. And my goal, because I planned it, I really did, was to do Lord of the Rings, because I have the Hobbit house from Cottage Garden's Fabulous Houses series, and I also have Merrier World from Game Over Stitches on Etsy. If more of us valued food and cheer and song over hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. Seems pretty appropriate right now. So that was one that I was going to do. This one, The Stitcher's Guide to Middle Earth by Stitching Coven, also on Etsy. And thanks to Helen D for bringing this to my attention. I love this one. I love the little hobbit house up here. All the weapons of the Fellowship, the ring, the shards of Narsil, all the locations, the elven headdress. It's so cool. I have absolutely none of this started. I have nothing for this. And the one that actually started me thinking about a Lord of the Rings wall is the Namari Tapestry by Jacob over at Modern Folk. I do have this kitted, have it kitted on a 40 count green from Atomic Ranch, and the floss is Paige Turner from Cottage Garden. It's going to be pretty. It's going to take forever. And I have things on my scroll rods that I'm working on and enjoying. So the collection stitch along, well, I love the idea and I want to do it so badly, I just cannot pull the trigger. I'm sorry. I have the ideas. I'm with you in spirit, really, because I love it. I just can't. Yeah. So that's my confession for the day, is that, I had really, really great intentions. Like, at least one of these pieces is fully kitted. And I pulled everything out. I even went downstairs and I found my sword. Doesn't everybody have a sword? I have a Celtic dagger, actually. And I think it's like 18 inches long, 16, 20, something like that, with a really cool, like, Celtic style hilt and handle on it. And it was one of those things my husband got from the Noble Collection, or one of those, nerdy gift catalogs years ago. And it's been in a box. So thought if I got that, if I got some stitching done and then hung that with it, it would look really cool, and it would be like grown-up nerd, not like, college nerd. But I haven't done it. I'm sorry. But I could. The idea, the seed has been planted. It will happen, just not on anybody else's schedule. And that's the truth of it. Oh, and stash. I have one piece of stash. I did order some of the Beneath the Waves and the cookbook from Nashville, but I don't have those yet, so I can't show you those. I got impatient waiting for my Nashville stash to show up. So in one of the stash unload groups, I found Prairie Moon's Missing You. And I just think it's cool. I just like it. And what I did not realize, when I looked at the picture, I thought that it was like a dark blue and orange. It's actually black. So I have some black silk that I can use, and it's charted for 5 needlepoint silks in shades of like orange, yellow, and brown. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, why should I get 5 different flosses? And I asked Vicki Clayton over at Hand Dyed Fibers if she had any variegated that would kind of pull some of those colors in, and she recommended 3. So I will probably be ordering those because 3 is less than 5, right? So that's in the plans. But other than that, I'm waiting on my market stash to come in, and I'm working on my Christmas sampler, and things are going pretty well. Lacrosse season is starting, so my videos will get fewer and farther between anyway. I will be back in 1 month for video number 50 on my birthday. So get your friends to subscribe, and we'll do some giveaways, and it'll be lots of fun. All right. Thanks. Keep being awesome people and making awesome stuff. Bye.